Welcome to my brachial plexus video. To start off with, we have the roots. There are 5 roots: C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. These are the anterior rami of the spinal nerves that make up the brachial plexus. So C5 and C6 come together, C7's by itself, and then C8 and T1 are together. So there are two nerves that make up the roots. One comes from C5, which is the dorsal scapular nerve. And this nerve innervates the rhomboid major as well as the rhomboid minor and the levator scapulae. And then the second nerve from the roots comes from C5, C6, and C7, which is the long thoracic nerve, which innervates the serratus anterior. And then after the roots, we have the trunks. We have 3 trunks: the upper, the middle, and the lower. There's only 2 nerves that come from the trunks, which comes from the upper trunk, which is the suprascapular nerve and the nerve to the subclavius. The suprascapular nerve innervates the supraspinatus as well as the infraspinatus. And the nerve to the subclavius innervates the subclavius. And then to make a note of the roots and the trunks make up the supraclavicular portion of the brachial plexus, which means above the clavicle, and then the next few parts make up the infraclavicular portion, which means below the clavicle. So that's what this little dotted line means. So after the trunks, we have the divisions. And each trunk has an anterior and posterior division. So anterior, posterior, and then the lower trunk, the posterior and anterior divisions are flipped. There are no nerves in the divisions. After the divisions, we have the cords. So the top 2 anterior divisions come together to form the lateral cord, and then all 3 posterior divisions come together to form the posterior cord. And then the bottom anterior division is all by itself and makes up the medial cord. So the lateral cord has the lateral pectoral nerve, and this innervates the pectoralis major. The posterior cord has 3 nerves: the upper subscapular, nerve, and this innervates the supraspinatus. No, it doesn't. The upper subscapular nerve innervates the subscapularis. And then we have the lower subscapular nerve, which also innervates the subscapularis, as well as the teres major. And then the third nerve from the posterior cord is the thoracodorsal nerve, which innervates the latissimus dorsi. And then the medial cord also has 3 nerves: the medial pectoral nerve, which innervates the pectoralis major and minor. The medial brachial cutaneous, and then the medial antebrachium cutaneous. And then from the cords we have the branches. So the lateral cord makes up the musculocutaneous nerve. And the lateral cord also comes together with the medial cord to form the median nerve. The posterior cord has two nerves, the auxiliary, English, the auxiliary and the radial nerve, and then the medial also has its own nerve, just the ulnar nerve. And then from these branches, they innervate their own separate regions, which are the musculocutaneous innervates the anterior brachium region, the I can't say that word, auxiliary innervates the teres minor and deltoid regions. Gosh. The radial nerve innervates the posterior brachium region as well as the posterior antebrachium region. And then the median nerve innervates the anterior antebrachium region. And then the ulnar nerve innervates the, I'm going to abbreviate this, the flexor carpal ulnaris, and the medial half of the flexor digitorum profundus. And there you have it. This is the brachial plexus.